Ashen is an open-world action RPG featuring stamina-based combat and passive multiplayer. Your journey starts in a dark world that suddenly becomes filled with light, and you quickly learn your goal is to find and protect the source of light. Your first task leads you to a vagrant faction which you will need to defeat to eventually found your town.
Give me my hammer, so I might restore the beat of this silent heart. Touch the spark to the ritual stone. Bind your spirit to this place.
Your town will function as your home base, and as you help characters in the world, they will start moving into your town, they will build houses, and they will offer you crafting services. That means every time you come back to town, your town might have grown in different ways. Throughout the game, your town represents your progression and who you've chosen to complete quests for out in the world. Some of the crafting options you can get access to include potion crafting, weapon upgrading, and a special talisman crafting option which will give you access to various different bonuses. We really want players to build relationships with the characters we designed, and so when you're sent out on quests, these characters actually join you. This is where passive multiplayer comes into play. You might be running around the world and run into the characters you're doing a quest for, but this might actually be another player. To keep players immersed, the other player will always appear as one of the quest givers. This means you won't be able to see the other player's equipment or character customization. There are no chat systems in the game, and we really want players to focus on the personalities and stories of these quest givers. It is also entirely possible that players run into each other and immediately go their separate ways. These brief encounters is also important to building meaningful relationships with our characters. This doesn't mean you can only play Ashen in multiplayer. When there's no multiplayer connection to be found, an AI actually takes over these quest givers and the experience stays the same. Throughout the game, you'll need the help of a companion, whether it's another player or an AI, to reach secret areas or enter dungeons. As you progress through the story, you'll run through different environments, fight stronger encounters, and see giant creatures, like the giant Diosora flying around the world. There are two major factions in Ashen. On the one hand, you have the Listeners, a faction of giants who build monolithic structures and worship their matriarch. On the other hand, you have the Litharians, a prestigious human faction with a twisted king. Because Ashen has a stamina-based combat system, we focus on making the controls as responsive as possible. This lets you manage your actions in a fun way in all kinds of situations. Not everything you encounter in Ashen is hostile. There are passive creatures throughout the world, like roamers as well. As quests push you further through the game, you'll learn more and more about the history of the world and how it collapsed. You'll learn the history through rich environments and the many NPCs you encounter on your journeys. Encounters out in the world become more complicated as you progress, with ambushes, melee and ranged combat to keep you on your toes. There are secrets hidden all over the world, and you have some special mechanics available to find them all, like spear travel. When you explore, you might find different types of gear and rare crafting materials, which you can take back to your town to upgrade weapons, for instance. The world is massive, and what better way to travel around than flying on the back of a baby dinosaur? Ashen doesn't have a traditional leveling system or experience system, so all your power will come from the items you craft and unlock. As you become stronger, you'll be able to complete larger dungeons throughout the game and defeat the giant bosses that await at the very end of these dungeons. Light is an important mechanic in Ashen, and you'll often find yourself exploring dark environments with your trusty lantern. Dungeons also offer tons of areas to explore and beautiful vistas looking out over the world.